How's it going, everybody? Danny here from foxohealth.com, and today we are joined by a very special guest, my friend Nicholas Butter. Nick is doing something pretty epic this year. I won't steal your thunder, Nick. Tell everyone what you're doing this year.
Thanks, mate. I'm doing a bit of running. Do you want me to elaborate?
Yes, please.
I'll elaborate, okay. I am setting the world record for running a marathon in every country in the world. It's going to take me just under 2 years, so 23 months. And the idea behind the trip is to raise £250,000 for Prostate Cancer UK, and hopefully we'll raise some awareness as well. So it's not just about raising the money, it's also about taking lots of photos, meeting a lot of great people, and also having a bit of a community around the world which we'll get hopefully be able to contact in the future. So it's a new world record, it's never been done. Fingers crossed that I get to the end of the trip.
Absolutely amazing what you're doing. So we're here in Vienna at the moment. I've actually joined you for a month of the trip in Europe, and it's been fantastic so far.
It's been great to have you along, mate. It's been really nice. There's been parts of the trip where I really needed anyone, not just you, like anyone would do. Sure. No, it's been really nice to have you along. And you know, we've been doing bits of filming. You've been meeting me in different places. On my runs and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we've done what we did 13 countries together over a month, so it's been pretty good.
Fantastic. So there's loads of stuff I want to talk to you about in this this video, and what we're actually going to do is combine this for your podcast as well, which is called
Perfect.
Running the World 196.
Running the World 196, yep, on any podcast app. It's on Podbean and obviously on iTunes, yeah.
Yep, so we'll use the audio for that. So listeners, hello, if you're listening to the podcast. So let's start. So you talked a bit about the actual raising money for prostate cancer, but how did it all come about? What gave you the idea for doing this? Where did it come from?
I think the idea of doing the trip is kind of a collection of all sorts of different reasons, but the main reason that the trip was thought up was to raise money for prostate cancer. So I wanted to do something special for my mate Kev. Now, Kevin Webber, he is a lovely guy. He is 52 now, I believe. I met him when he was 49, and we were out running in the Sahara Desert. It was pretty hostile, and you run so the race is called Marathon des Sables. You run 7 days throughout the Sahara Desert. It's brutal. Anybody that's ever done it is just, you know, I've spoken to you about it, Danny, it's just horrendous. But anyway, I met Kev there. We bonded, as you do when you're kind of suffering in heat for a week. And then he dropped this bombshell on me that he has terminal prostate cancer. And it wasn't just prostate cancer, it wasn't just a cancer that maybe he'll be getting better by. He had prostate cancer, and ever since then I understood so much more about it. So there was the initial message that, oh my word, this man is running alongside me and he's dying, and he's giving me these messages of, look, let's make your life worth living and don't waste your days and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, you know what, yeah, that's really good. And I went away from the race thinking, what can I do that is going to be big enough to raise some money for him and for the charity Prostate Cancer UK, but also give me what I want to do. You know, use his words of wisdom and actually live how I want to live. And I want to see the world, I want to travel, I'm a runner anyway, I love running, so combine everything, and it means I get to take a lot of photos, meet a load of great people, spend a lot of time away from home, which is the downside, and obviously suffer through 196 marathons.
Yeah, I met Kevin in your launch event. He's an amazing guy, really nice guy.
He is. He has got that attitude of that anybody that comes across him will just think, yeah, this guy is special, and then you get told that he's dying, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, it's just another level of a lovely guy. Yeah, he's pretty special.
Yeah, so I'm really pleased you're doing this for prostate cancer. So let's talk a bit about prostate cancer. So, you know, I think most guys kind of know what it is and understand that, you know, it's, you know, they couldn't get it. But do you want to talk a bit more about, why,
Yeah, so what I know about it, yeah. So first of all, I learned that in the UK and actually worldwide, it's substantially underfunded. And that means that very few people know what it is. If you can get symptoms, how old you might be, how often you should get checks, if you can die from it. There's so many different things that people don't really know. Yeah. And that comes from being underfunded. So underfunding is the first thing I learned. It's not just about the UK, it's all over the world. Second thing is that it kills about 11,000 men. It's just risen, I think, to about 11,500 men in the UK every year. So that's one every 45 minutes. And what that equates to is the second point, which is that if you catch prostate cancer early, you're really, really likely to be okay.
Right.
You know, you may not have the perfect lifestyle, but you're really quite highly likely to live if you catch prostate cancer early. If you catch it late, you're screwed. It's as simple as that. The amount of drugs and awareness and all sorts of stuff out there is increasing, but it seriously needs some funding and awareness.
That's amazing. So these people are dying, and if they had just got it earlier, basically,
yeah,
could have been
it's
avoided.
just a matter of going and get checked. And I think that's my third point, which is about this huge stigma which is attached to prostate cancer. Because you talk about your bum and you talk about things that men don't like talking about, and you get embarrassed, you get shy, and you know, you're not going to go to a pub and if in my opinion anyway, if breast cancer in women can be spoken about really widely amongst women, men, friends, family, everybody of all ages, then we need to start doing that with prostate cancer. Because what that will mean is more men will go and get checked early from the age of 35, 40, and then they're much, much more likely to live, and therefore the death rate will go down.
Is that the age that you should start thinking about getting checked out?
Yes, so my understanding is 40 plus is your, 40 is when you really need to go and get checked. Personally, I think I'll probably go and get checked from about 35. It's not a case of, there are cases where people have had prostate cancer younger than 35, it's just very unlikely. And it's not a case of you're wasting time, it's that you will come up against some doctors or anybody in the medical industry that may not necessarily want to even do the test because it's so unlikely. But 40 plus, then you do need to go and get checked every year. Throughout the trip, I've met many people that had no idea about prostate cancer, just like me and just like Kev did before he was diagnosed. And since then, that some of them have gone and got checked, and a few of them did actually have prostate cancer. So it just goes to show, the more we speak about it, that's my number one message for people, is just start talking about it more, and therefore we don't need to raise any money, we don't need to have all of the funding and the research, because if we start talking about it more, then more people will get checked early, and we've already got the science, we've already got the medicine in place there to then put it, to stop it in its tracks.
I mean, since I've obviously done what you're doing, I got mine checked this year. I'm 38 now, and I got it checked, and it was really fine.
Good.
And it's so simple, it's a urine test, that's all it is.
I know,
everybody
thinks it's something up your bum,
it's urine test,
and it's just a urine
test. So it's really
test.
easy,
On that point, there's I assumed that when I went away, there were loads of people around the world that you could just go and get checked. And obviously, having spent several months in Africa, it's not that easy. There are so few places to go and get checked, so that overall piece, the global piece for prostate cancer, needs to improve as well. That we're really easy. We're lucky. Westerners in the wealthy part of the world can just go and get checked like that, and you're fine. It's not that easy for everybody. So use your privilege of being a Westerner.
Like you say, it's about catching it early. If you can just you can basically save your life by just going to the doctor.
It's as simple as that.
Just get it tested every year. My dad actually had prostate cancer a couple of years ago. So when you get your prostate checked, there's a score they give you, which is like a biomarker, and it's called PSA, or prostate-specific antigen. And his was slightly high. He has it every year, but his was slightly higher than usual. And my dad was worried about it, but the doctor said, "Oh, no, it's fine. Just give it another year, and we'll check it again." And my dad was like, "No, I want to get it checked in 3 months." And the doctor was like, "No, you don't need to." And he just insisted, said, "I want it checked. So I'm having it checked." So they did it again in 3 months, and it shot up. It skyrocketed. And if he hadn't checked it then, and he'd left it a year, he probably would have died.
Exactly. So there you go.
So you need to insist. You need
to insist. Absolutely. So the responsibility is on you, and also don't be afraid. Even if you sometimes, I know, certainly for my family and lots of people that I know, that sometimes you could be quite friendly with a doctor, especially if you've got to the age of 40 and you've had the same doctor for all your life, and they go, "Oh no, you don't need it." Don't be afraid to break that barrier down and go and ask for it again.
It's hard to as well, because they're the authority, right? And you kind of want to just believe, that if they say it's fine, great, I can relax now. They said it's okay, but you need to take responsibility.
And your dad's okay now?
He's fine, So thank God he insisted and got it checked.
Good.
So just while we're talking about prostate cancer, and I know some people might be watching that has affected them, or they know people that it has affected them. There's some research going on which is really interesting about kind of treating prostate cancer, and that is by eating broccoli sprouts, of all things, basically. So amazingly enough, broccoli sprouts, there's a study that showed that people that ate about 150 milligrams, or sorry, grams of broccoli sprouts a day, they managed to slow the doubling rate of that PSA score by 86%, which is pretty massive.
Pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, it's about that much broccoli sprouts. So basically, there's a compound in the broccoli sprouts called glucoraphanin, and when you kind of break the broccoli and chew it, it reacts with an enzyme called myrosinase, and that produces something called sulforaphane. And it's also this sulforaphane, which is basically activating an NRF2 pathway, enzymatic pathway in your body, and it's kind of activating antioxidant genes. And
how often do you have to eat them?
so every day, basically, that was the study.
Every day, wow, God.
It's dose dependent, so again, people that had less, so people that had 35 milligrams as opposed to the 60
Grams, 35 grams, yeah.
Milligrams of sulforaphane.
Okay.
So in 150 grams of broccoli sprouts, you will have 65 milligrams of sulforaphane.
Okay. So the more you have,
the more effect you'll get, basically.
and the less, okay, fine.
So the guys that had 35 milligrams, they slowed it by 57, which is still quite a lot, but it's not quite as powerful as that. And if you don't want to you can grow broccoli sprouts really easily and make them really cheap to make, just grow them in a jar basically, but if you don't want to go through that trouble, you can actually get capsules. You can get it.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah, supplement forms.
Couple of tablets.
Yeah.
86% is pretty good for a tablet, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So if you have prostate cancer renals, and it does, I'd recommend researching that. I'll put a link in the description in the show notes. It's fascinating stuff, but it's really simple.
And you hit on the point there that actually there's so many little things out there that I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about prostate cancer for 3 or 4 years now. So
there we go. Yeah.
you know, so it's
amazing.
just something else that it is really useful for people to know. And again, with more money and more research and more awareness, the more and more people will start learning about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's shift gears slightly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about running, basically. So I think some of my viewers will be very into exercise and running, etc. So I want to talk about running a marathon first of all. That's quite an epic task. So how would you go about or advise someone if they're kind of like a normal runner or not even a runner, they think, right, I want to run a marathon. What do you do? What are the steps to take? How do you go about it?
Okay, so first of all, number one, everybody can run a marathon. There's people that I have ran with, example in Ghana, polio survivor, didn't have 2 working legs, and he ran a marathon with me. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh no, I can't do that because I've got this, I've got that, or I've got diabetes, or I've got high blood pressure, or whatever it may be, I ran with a guy in the desert with no legs. So you can do it. That's the thing. You need to want to do it.
Yeah.
Number one, you need to want to do it. You don't do it for somebody else. My cycle of running, and I think it's the same for lots of people, is that you run initially for fitness, and you get into it, and it's kind of hard and horrible and sweaty and gritty. You get into it that way, and then second phase is that you start to do maybe some park runs, you do some competitions, and you kind of get into it a bit more. Then you want to improve, and then maybe you want to step up to a marathon. And my experience, and again, lots of my friends, that's when the injuries come.
Right,
because you've been doing maybe 4 or 5 miles around a local park or something, and then you step up, and then you train hard, you follow a plan that you found in a magazine or something, and then you get injured. Because you're not looking after your body, and your body's shocked, and all of your IT bands sore, and your ankles are not strong enough, all sorts of stuff. So number one, you've got to really want to do it. Number two, you need to expect that it's not going to be easy. So there's that sometimes expectation, especially people that I've coached in the past, and they go, oh, I want to do a marathon, I can do a half marathon, or I've done 20 miles. And actually, even from 20 to 26 miles is a big difference. So obviously then you just need to practice. It's as simple as that. The more you do, that we talk about the whole 10,000 hour rule, and I'm a big believer in the more you do it, the better you get. And Mo Farah's openly said that if you want to get better at running, run more. It's as simple as that. Now the specifics, and you've got all sorts of things about breathing and trainers and your cadence and all. Just don't think about that. If you want to run a marathon and enjoy it, fine, don't set yourself a time, do some decent training, give yourself maybe 3 months to slowly increase your distance. My personal advice, and this is different from I think lots of people, is if you're going to go and compete in a marathon, as a major marathon or anything like that, I would advise running the full distance before going and competing. Because psychologically, and again for me, running is 80% in my mind. If you know you've done the distance, you know you can do it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because we don't want to do in a race is get to 20 miles, go, oh, I've run to 20 miles, and then you think I'm going to do this, and then by 21 miles you think, actually I need to stop. and
Yeah.
you ruined it. You know,
Yeah.
you've trained for months to do it, and then you back out because your brain's not there. So definitely give yourself that advantage by running the full distance, even if it takes you 10 hours. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Do it slowly, enjoy it. The other thing to take into consideration is running partners.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I can imagine like doing it on your own might be hard to get up and go and keep doing it.
Not just racing, but training. And you know, back home we have a mutual friend, Gary, a great runner, similar to Andy actually. And Gary and I, for a long time, used to go and run 5-6 o'clock in the morning every Tuesday and Thursday. And that was just, we met in one place and went, what do you want to do today? Should we do 10 miles, 20 miles, or should we do intervals, whatever? You know, it was just enjoyment, but it meant if we didn't get up, we were letting somebody else down.
Exactly,
So, you know, we'd always have that competition of, and it helps, it really helps.
Accountability part, like, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the running bit, it's the motivation to get you into running.
Yeah.
My final point on getting into running at all, so maybe you haven't run at all and you want to just do a park run or something like that. Biggest thing for me is do a month of running. So every day for 30 days, run.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It sounds horrendous. You think, I can't do that. But you don't have to do much. You can do a minimum a mile. Like minimum a mile every day. And that is to do with getting your brain and your body in gear and in the habit of putting your trainers on, getting your running kit on, laying them out on the radiator the night before, getting the shower afterwards, and getting into that habit. And if you stick to that for the month, and it'll be, you know, you'll have some times when you need to go to weddings or parties and you're hungover, all sorts of stuff. But if you just do it, you know, a mile doesn't take that long, even if you walk it 15-20 minutes. Get out and go and do the mile, and you'll find by the end of that 30 days, you are running more and more and more, and you don't just go out for 2 miles, 3 miles, you do 5, 6, 7 miles.
Once you're out,
you're out. Yeah, and you won't even realise it. So that's the big thing, habit.
There's a real power in that, not doing the momentum every day, right? And just like get a calendar, cross off the X's, don't break the chain for 30 days. And
exactly,
it's a game, isn't it?
And it's not forever,
No.
it's just 30 days. And
after
after that, even if you give yourself a break for ages, then you've still got that in the bank. And mentally, you know you've done it.
Okay. So you say give yourself 3 months to train up to a marathon, and the first month do it every day. After that, could you do it every day for the whole 3 months, or is it best to start?
I wouldn't suggest running every day for 3 months because it's not good for your body. So you've got your pre-run rituals, you've got your during run rituals, and then your post-run stuff. So for me, I am notoriously bad at stretching and diet and all sorts of stuff. So I wouldn't personally get het up about what you should and shouldn't be doing either side of your running, other than pay attention to when your legs are sore. And that sounds obvious, but if your legs are tight in a particular place, then maybe get a massage. The only 2 things that I do is I ice my legs. I don't do it all the time. Maybe I have a 5-minute cold bath, you know, really shallow bath, or a really cold shower, and then I just finish my shower with a hot shower, and it just helps your muscles to soften. You'll probably know more about the science than I do, Danny, but it helps. Get some bags of ice, shopping bags. Fill 4 bags of shopping bags with ice, and just put 1 on your thigh, 1 on your calves, on each leg, and that will work wonders for recovery. Obviously, eating lots of protein is great for recovery, which I think is pretty standardised. And the other thing is getting a roller. So everyone talks about rolling your legs. You don't have to go out and buy a fancy bit of kit or anything. A rolling pin, a water bottle, the side of your bed, your hand, even if you really want to.
So not a foam roller, and just a roller, or they're the same thing?
Foam roller, it doesn't matter what the material is. It just can be a rolling pin. It just has to kind of massage your IT band. So your IT band goes all the way from your ankle all the way up your outside of your leg, all the way up past your knee and up towards your hip flexors. And that's the muscle. That's the tendon and the fibres that will then stretch and start to twist as more and more you run, and that's where people get injured. And it can do all sorts of pushing your knee over and your hips not in the right place. And then when you get more experience, that's when you can start thinking about your posture, your cadence, and your breathing, and where your shoulders are, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But ice your legs, roll your legs, kind of basically it's just massaging. That's all you really need to do. Make sure that your muscles have got a chance for the next run. Simple as that.
Got it. Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who is like me, who I've complained about experiencing pain when I run, and you happened to catch me on a treadmill at the gym once, and you kind of saw how I was running, and it was completely wrong, basically. But how can someone kind of go about getting their, I guess, running observed and...
Okay, true, yeah. So Danny is very laid back in every sense, but especially when he runs, it's like this. So don't lean backwards when you run. If you can, we'll get him to run one day and you can demonstrate. Try and keep your body upright when you run. That's obviously key. In terms of going and getting yourself checked on your running stance and your cadence, and if you're pronating your feet, so if you're rolling your ankles in or out, and if you've got your feet turned in or feet turned out, etc. You can go to most running shops.
They'll record you, right?
High street, they'll just record you like slow-mo from behind, from the sides. I personally don't value it that much. I think it's good to know, good to see, so you've got that in your mind. Maybe do it once. Some shops do it for free, some shops charge a tenner or something, so it's not, it's worth doing once.
But especially if you are feeling pain, like I was.
If you're feeling pain,
because if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't know till I was landing on my heels.
But the other alternative though is exactly that, is you didn't go and do that, I told you. So if you belong to a running club, or you run with people, and you just say, look, am I running silly?
Sure.
Why is this hurting? And they'll be able to tell you. And sometimes people get it wrong, but at least it makes you think about changing something. I think a lot of people will experience pain, and from my experience and lots of people that I know, it is very easy to let your mind think that you're in pain and you need to stop, and you're ruining your body by a pain. And we were just talking a couple of days ago, I hurt a tendon in my Achilles, and
in
definitely
Prague.
One of those in Prague, one of those fibres frayed only 48 hours ago. And I had to slow right down to a walk and go and get some ibuprofen gel and some painkillers, and it was really sore. I iced it, and I prepared my mind basically that, come on, this is fine, I'm not going to do any lasting damage. Gave the doctor a quick call, and I went out, and I've just run another marathon an hour ago. Had no pain whatsoever. So don't let your mind just get into that rut of, I'm injured and the doctor says I can't run for 3 months. I don't want you to go against your doctor's advice, but at the same time, you know your body. And don't let your mind trick you into thinking it's going to be terrible for months and you can't do anything. I've seen people go through huge rehab processes, and I think maybe just try and run again.
Makes sense. So how many marathons are you doing at the moment in terms of like pace? Like one every other day? Is it one every?
Overall in the whole trip, so the 23 months, the 2-year journey, on average it's about 2.5 to 3 a day.
Wow.
At the moment we've been doing 4 a week, haven't we?
I say we.
I have. You haven't. I think you ran to the pub once or something like that.
Something like that.
No, I'm doing quite a few at the moment.
Impressive. So, what are you eating? Because I've noticed that you don't seem to be eating a hell of a lot more than me, and it just amazes me that you're going for all these calories. And it seems to be enough for you. So
again, speaking to people like you and getting my proper nutritional analysis done, I was supposedly supposed to be on about 5,200 calories a day. I'm not eating that, as you can see. On a running day I miss lunch. I don't have that substantial breakfast, and at dinner it's never really bigger than a normal portion. And I think that's because I ran 420 something marathons in my life, so I'm kind of used to it, and my body's adapted. We were talking about that the other day. My body's definitely adapted for the calories, but I think food-wise for marathons, bananas. You've got to have your bananas, and you've got to get some salt tablets. Salt tablets, bananas, and maybe some electrolytes, so your body can actually use what you're putting into it. Water.
Lots of water. Absolutely.
I spend a fortune on this trip with water, going and spending €4 or £4 on a bottle, but you need it, even if you don't feel thirsty. I finish every run still going for a wee and it being fluorescent yellow, even though I drink and drink. So it is really important to keep really hydrated.
It was, I mean, obviously I knew how much salt you would sweat out, but I didn't actually realise you actually kind of see like the actual clumps of like that chap we ran with the other day, or you ran with Nick.
Yeah.
Covered in these salt crystals at the end of it.
Yeah, I was running with Dominic, Nick from Prague, 16-year-old guy, never run a marathon, and his whole face, and I'm sure everybody's like witnessed it, where you've got salt lines just like a shoreline on a beach, of just completely covered in salt. And I get, my hat's covered in salt, my t-shirts are covered in salt. So take some salt tablets. There's all sorts of different websites out there. There's a good company, Precision Hydration, and they do the tablets that I take. And I also take Juice Plus, so it's just a combination, and keeps my body in check generally. But salt tablets is a must because they don't taste horrible. You're not just eating salt with a spoon.
Sure, yeah.
Helps your body, and water. Yeah, definitely water. And obviously you need some energy, so bananas. But other than that, just eat what you want, but just eat sensibly.
Yeah,
it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
You need fuel, so eat and then go for a run.
Yeah.
Some people say, I'll get up 3 hours early before I run and have my food and then leave it 2 hours before I run.
You don't have to be that scientific about it, do you? Or that precise.
You don't have to be, you just let your body. If you run and you're physically sick after eating, don't run then. Wait. You don't feel like because somebody told you can't go and run on a full tummy, then just do it. No. I run. I eat. I've eaten pizzas, jacket potatoes, baguettes, all sorts of stuff while I'm running. Just to eat. Yeah.
And I've seen it, we forgot to mention actually, you're not just doing the marathons, you're also doing push-ups every day as well. So you're not like a skinny marathon runner, you've actually got quite a good physique. You're still doing loads of push-ups every day as well. So it's quite incredible how well your body's adapted to preserve the energy it's eating. So.
And I also think that a lot of the energy comes from the trip itself and the fact that I blooming love running. So you've seen how much energy I have after a run. I get up in the morning.
You're a different person, After the run, you're like a complete person.
My endorphins and the euphoric feeling after a run is just crazy. In the morning, this morning, I was knackered. I was so tired. I looked like my hair was a mess, sleepy dust in my eyes. I really didn't want to even get up for breakfast. And you go for a run, 20 minutes, you're done. Yeah, fine. So I've got a bit of energy.
So you're averaging about 4 marathons a week at the moment. I've had some conversations with some people and I've told them about what you're doing and they're saying, no, that can't be good for you, that can't be good for you, he's going to suffer. So do you get that a lot and what are your thoughts on that?
I do get that, And first of all, if it means that I'm guaranteed to need new knees in 30 years' time, then my reaction is okay. Because I'm not willing to not have that.
Sure, I'll take some new knees, why not?
I'll take new knees. That means no pain. I get, science is fantastic. Obviously I'm not going to run. It's not guaranteed either. You can people run well into their 80s, 90s, and I don't need any new knees. Obviously you've got to listen to your body. Obviously you need to be sensible. But being active, running, whether it's walking, high jumping, whatever it is, if your body's moving, then it's good for you. So I think I do need to be careful. But, I've done a lot of skiing in my life. My knees are definitely a little bit shot and my hips are a bit sore. But I'm not going to stop doing that because it keeps me fit. I love it, and it keeps my mind healthier, among other things. But the whole being active is. It's obvious that if you're not active, you're unhealthy. If you're active, you're healthy, in my opinion. You know more about the science than me, but
I mean, exercise in general is just ridiculously good for you. It's probably one of the best things you can do. Probably the best intervention across like all diseases out there. Exercise in general, and I'll talk about some of the benefits for the people on my channel that are into that kind of stuff. But and I suspect because I don't know for sure, but I think because you're running, for 4 hours a marathon, on average, is it about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours? You're getting a lot of those benefits a lot of the time, so I suspect it's incredibly healthy for you. Some of the benefits I was telling you about earlier, so there's loads of genes that activate. So number one, we talked about mitochondrial biogenesis. So basically mitochondria, like the kind of the power stations of our cells, they produce all the energy, all the ATP. When we get older, these mitochondria get damaged and they become less effective, so we kind of lose the ability to make this energy. But there's a gene we can activate called PGC1 alpha to actually make new mitochondria, and that's called mitochondrial biogenesis. And we can activate that by exercise, basically. So when you're running out there for 4 or 5 hours a day, you need a lot of energy, right? So you're making all these new mitochondria to do that. So that's a huge benefit. That's a massive one there.
That's obvious, isn't it?
Exactly.
Activity helps.
Exactly, yeah. So if you don't do any activity or exercise, you're not going to make new mitochondria, or you make them, but not to anywhere near the same kind of degree.
Yeah.
So that's one massive benefit. The other really interesting one is exercise will activate the FOXO3 gene, and I'm fascinated with the FOXO gene 3. That's
FOXO health.
FOXO health, exactly. So FOXO3 is, they call it the so-called longevity gene, because people that have a variation in the gene which results in its increased expression or activation are 2.7-fold more, or 2.7 times more likely to live to be 100 years old. Which is really interesting. So if you've got this, so everyone has a FOXO3 gene, but some people have a variation in the gene, which means it's expressed more, activated more.
Okay.
And if you have that variation, you are 2.7 times more likely to live to be 100 years old, basically.
Oh, wow.
But you can actually activate the gene by exercise. And what it does, it kind of regulates a whole plethora of other genes. So antioxidant genes, DNA damage repair genes, autophagy pathways, so kind of damaged cells will get cleared away. Stem cell function, genes involved in the immune system. So all that's going on while you're doing this running. So
that's the science behind the less active you are, then all of that stuff is happening less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So you're not activating as much. It makes sense, right? So that's good to know you're doing that. You talked about your kind of mindset as well. So when you exercise, you actually make more of this protein called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor. And that basically helps you make new brain cells. So when you're running, you're making new brain cells.
So I'm more clever than you.
Yeah, that's probably why you're beating me at Connect Force then.
We did. Should we tell everybody how much?
No, let's not go into the score. We've got round 2 to go, yeah.
It was a lot.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Another thing it's doing as well, you're making more heat shock proteins. So basically, when you're heat acclimated, which means that you kind of sweat really quickly. I assume you sweat really quickly.
So quickly.
I got the same thing when I was going to the sauna like 4 times a week. After that, I'd start going to the gym and I'd be sweating within like a couple of minutes. That's your heat acclimated. So when that happens, you're making more heat shock proteins, and you make more of them not just when you're exercising, but all the time, basically. And what they do, they basically protect against heart disease and heart failure, and also neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's as well. So basically, what they're doing is they're kind of they're repairing damaged proteins in the body. And damaged proteins basically cluster together and they form plaques, and that's when you get the diseases and that. So you're making more heat shock proteins all the time, and they're repairing all this protein damage. That's really good.
I'm right in thinking that long running is good for it, but short, fast, high heart rate, high intensity training is better.
It depends what you're looking to do. So the whole mitochondrial biogenesis thing, high intensity interval training is better for that, because you're making more energy on a short burst. The others I'm not sure, to be honest, but I just know exercise in general will activate it all.
Well, I'm definitely doing that.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing stuff. And the other thing you mentioned as well, you feel better, right? So you're making, you mentioned runner's high, so you're making more beta endorphin when you run, which is like feel good hormone, basically, isn't it? So,
feel good hormone. Yeah, there you go. And that's the thing, and it helps people with depression, and also if you're just sitting in an office, if you're working in an office, then maybe get out at lunchtime or something like that, because it does really, it worked for me, and it works every day now. I mean, you've seen if I'm on a rest day, or if I'm lethargic in the morning, or on a train journey, like we've had our 15-hour train journey.
Yeah, sure.
And my activity days, I feel far more energy and far more alive than I do when I'm just sedentary. So
exactly, and also getting out in the sun as well, getting that UVB radiation also makes the same beta endorphins. So
basically, I am just a recipe for health.
Exactly, health and being happy.
Yes.
So it's amazing. So people that say that it's bad for you, no, I'm sure that's. I'm pretty sure you're going to be all right, and there's lots of health benefits to running that much. So
I'm not, even if I, like I said, even if I was told that it was long-term bad, I don't think I could stop anyway, because it's just such a good, it's like an addiction in a way. It's fortunately it's healthy.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. All right, let's switch gears again. Let's talk about some of your adventures so far and what you've actually been up to. So what have you actually done? What places have you been to so far?
Okay, so started on January the 6th this year, and I'll finish November the 19th next year.
Wow.
So away for a long time. I started in the freezing cold of Canada, in Toronto. January the 6th, it was minus 25.
Wow.
Really, really cold. I was expecting it to be maybe minus 6, minus 10, and it was absolutely bitter. I met up with some great guys, and they helped me through the first one with balaclavas and hand warmers. It was ridiculous, like completely unprepared for my first run in the deep end. So that was North America. Then I worked my way down Miami, Bahamas, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, that kind of area. It all sounds very glamorous. It's not when you're tired. So I worked my way down North America, Central America, South America, all of the Caribbean islands. I have now done North, West and South and some of Southeastern Africa.
Yeah.
So basically like the left-hand side of the map as you look at Africa, which was pretty intense. I mean, I've got some amazing stories about overland journeys, being bitten by a dog. I was mugged in Nigeria.
Okay, let's talk about that. What happened when you were mugged?
Gosh, it was just horrendous. So I'd done my run,
Yeah.
and I was being taken out by a couple of guys that were basically keeping me safe.
Yeah.
Took me to the market in Lagos, and I had my camera with me, which in hindsight was a stupid thing to do, but I love my photography, and at that point I hadn't had any threat, so why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I won't do that again. Anyway, I had my camera with me, and a few guys came up to me, and or at least five guys came up to me and were very physical and vocal, very scary, very intimidating, and two of the guys that I was with managed to protect me to an extent, but I was still shoved around, pushed on the floor, and they wanted my camera. They wanted my camera or money or anything they could get. We negotiated for quite some time, and I was completely cornered. I couldn't move. There was no chance of running or nothing. If a punch had been thrown by anybody else, it would have ended badly. Luckily, the guys I was with were very patient. The police were standing very close and I did nothing.
Really?
They were just pay them.
Really?
Yes, that's the attitude in Lagos. So very intimidating, and eventually after a while we managed to negotiate their original request for my camera down to £210, the equivalent of what they were asking for. Still a lot of money, a fortune
Yeah.
for them. And I walked away spending about £6, I think, which sounds amazing, but I think they were just fed up and they wanted anything, and it was all the money we had on us, so we just gave them everything we had. So that wasn't very nice.
So what were you thinking when that happened? Were you actually kind of worried for your life at that point, or do you think it already...
I was worried, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, easily. They all were carrying knives, and there were people with guns all over the place. It could have ended really badly. You know, if one of the guys I was with that I didn't know until the day before happened to shove someone or something like that, then I would have probably ended up stabbed or at least beaten. I'm not a fighter, so I wouldn't have been able to defend myself. And I was in a kind of like a courtyard area. There was no way I could run anywhere. It took us about half an hour to then avoid these people as we negotiated our way back to the car and out of the market. If anyone's ever been to that market, it is huge. One of the biggest markets in the world.
Really?
And out open, it's fantastic. It's really, really interesting, but very, very scary. So that was Africa. I then South Africa, lots of safaris and all sorts of seeing fantastic animals, really good time.
Tell us about the cheetah thing. That was really
and the cheetah. So I went for where was I? In Namibia, and I went for a walk with a guide, and the whole thing was that you go with a group of people to try and find some cheetahs in the wild.
Yeah.
I was off season, so I was the only one there, and I said, look, will someone take me out to see these cheetahs, because I want to see some cheetahs. And he said, yeah, we'll do that. And I wasn't really expecting to actually see any cheetahs. I was just thinking it'd be a nice kind of afternoon, midday walk and see what happens. Anyway, we got split up. The guide and I went different ways, and we were still looking for them. And he said, look, if you see anything, just shout. Obviously, in hindsight, you're not going to shout if you've just seen a cheetah, because it will run away. So I happened to see this cheetah, and the cheetah was incredibly close to me, probably less than 2 meters away from me. I mean, you've seen the video.
Yeah.
Got my phone out, and I thought, if I'm going to die, then I might as well get it on camera. And so running can be bad for you if you happen to put yourself in a position where you can get eaten by a cheetah. Anyway, fortunately, the cheetah wasn't interested in me, and was, I think, hunting something else. Kind of, I don't know really what it was doing. Anyway, he turned and came straight at me and just brushed straight past my leg. I wasn't moving or still. He definitely knew I was there, so I don't know what happened. I don't know why. Maybe it was just full.
That's amazing. Well, I saw the video. It's absolutely amazing.
Scary. Yeah, that was good. So, I mean, there's so many stories of Africa. Africa is just a wonderful, weird, fascinating, poverty-ridden place. You hear about poverty in Africa, but until you've seen the levels of everywhere, it's just horrendous. Africa, and then quick stop back in the UK to pick up my 5th passport of the trip. Lots of visas, so filled up 4 passports. So the whole trip I need 90 visas, and when some visas take up 2, 3 or 4 pages in your passport, and then you've got stamps in and out, and you need a full page clear for a visa, it adds up. So I am on passport number 5, and then picked that up, and then I joined you for this month in Europe. So this is the first leg of Europe and phase 5 of the journey. And the trip will go all the way through to phase 13 when I finish my last few countries in Oceania, so Australia, Fiji way, New Zealand way, and then I do my last marathon back in Athens, obviously the home of the marathon. Yeah. And then I'll do a quick non-official run in London. Well, I say quick, it'll be a very slow run with anybody that wants to come and join me in London when I finish.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about North Korea, because I'm sure lots of people want to.
Oh yeah, of course, I popped over to North Korea. Yeah. North Korea is, what's the word? Out of this world. Really? It doesn't feel like you're on Earth, really. It's very, very clean. Yeah. One of the things I really wasn't expecting, the cleanliness is huge, because they don't have all of the, what shall I call it, American clutter, let's call it that. Westernized, chewing gum and just simple things that there's just very, very little of anywhere in the country. Now, some people believe that when you go to Pyongyang, you get shown what they want you to see, and I don't really believe that. I think we were seeing the real Pyongyang in North Korea as close as we could get, really? without seeing the clear kind of controlled nation, which it obviously is. So the skyline is just beautiful. So I've got a fantastic photo of what looked like lots of low-rise Lego buildings, all in fluorescent green and pink, and it was just absolutely stunning. The whole place in its own feel is quite grey and dark, and obviously because it's controlled. The state police everywhere, so we have state police with us, making sure that we're not doing anything wrong. I sat on a statue and was told off for just sitting down on a step in the wrong place. So it's tough, and I think a lot of the people there are hoping that they're going to be free, but I think a lot of them day to day don't know any different. It's just the way it is. Just the way of life for them, yeah. So fascinating place. I went with Choreo Tours, friend of mine, Adrian, and they organised everything for me. It was a whistle-stop tour. I flew from Peru, I flew from Peru to Canada to China to North Korea, back from North Korea to China, Beijing, from Beijing over to somewhere else in Europe, Portugal I think, and then from Portugal back to Ecuador. So I did 25,000 miles flying and visited 6 countries in 4 days. Wow. Just mental. That's crazy. So that was a long, and then I had to run in Ecuador, which is obviously altitude and on the equator, so it's not ideal. Yeah.
So that's an experience not many people can say they've been to North Korea, so amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? Very, very lucky to have gone there.
And did you run in Vatican City?
Did I run in the Vatican City? Who witnessed me running in the Vatican City? Yes, Vatican City is done. I'm so pleased that Vatican City is now ticked off the list. I don't have to feel like that is a burden. So I think I've told you before, Danny, that I was quite worried about the Vatican City because of the legalities and the permissions that you need to run in the Vatican City. Smallest country in the world, and only a very small part of it, St. Peter's Square, is possible to run. And you saw it, Danny. It's filled with people. We were there quite early, and it was quiet, and it just got really busy from then. And we were stopped by the police. So I was thinking, this might be okay, 5-6 miles in, they're not really paying any attention. They were all over the place, weren't they? So we found out they were police from Rome, from Italy, it's the Italian police, but obviously acting on behalf of the Vatican. And they told us we had to stop, and I persisted and persisted and persisted. And luckily, a lovely guy called Daniel, one of the police officers, I explained what we're doing. We had everything prepared. We got the iPad out and said, "Look, this is what I'm doing," and doing it for the charity, etc., etc. And fortunately, he was into his sport, wasn't he?
He was in jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, yeah. And so he said, "Yeah, you can do it," just because we're allowing you to. So I got so lucky.
You're lucky.
All the other people that I've read about that have ran in the Vatican have actually ran around the outside of the city. So I'm really lucky to run inside.
And a credit for you for persisting with that, because at first he was like, no.
He was definitely a no, wasn't it? And
but you just kept going
he was
back
saying,
and
if you do it, then you get 12 hours in custody. But we're there. It was our one chance, really, to get it done. So you've got to persist with those things.
Yeah, and you won them over in the end by the end of it.
Yeah, and they were really lovely. And
they're credit to this police. They're really nice.
Very, very lovely people. Definitely credit to them.
Fantastic. So, what are you looking forward to most in the rest of the trip?
I'm looking forward to completing Africa. I think for the relief feel. For not having the pressure of the dangerous countries like the Congo and Central African Republic and all that kind of stuff. Similar to Syria, Afghanistan. I'd like to tick off some of those countries, which I won't get to do for quite a while, because the thing about the journey is I don't need to run quick marathons. I don't need to do it in a particular time because I'm setting the record. But at the same time, I do need to run a marathon in every country in the world. And if I get banned for some reason, you never know. You know, if I take the wrong camera, a bit of kit, or I speak to the guard in the wrong way, anything could go wrong and they just take me off the list and it's not done. So really want to get them done. In terms of looking forward to stuff in a positive way, I'm quite looking forward to the rest of this year. I don't have to go back to Africa. I haven't got any real dodgy countries. I've got places like Iceland. I'm going over to Chicago and New York for the majors. I have a week on the west coast of the States visiting some cancer centres. So from San Francisco through to Vegas, lots of prostate cancer research centres are based there, along with other cancers as well. And then it's back to Europe. So the comforts of Europe, Danny. I mean, you say we've done a lot and we've seen so much, but it's not been this easy because I've not had the luxuries of little things like we're sitting out now on the balcony. And you can't do that in lots of places in Africa because you get bitten by mosquitoes, bitten to bits, or it's just too noisy, or there isn't a balcony, or it's dirty, or there's cockroaches. So just simple stuff. So looking forward to the rest of the year. Back for Christmas for a week. Replenish clean clothes. Very, very filthy clothes. And then we start back in Africa again.
Fantastic. So are you doing the South Pole?
Not the South Pole. Probably won't make it to the South Pole. I don't need to do the North Pole because it's the Arctic and there isn't any land. It's just ice. So it doesn't count. So Antarctica, yes. The plan is to do Antarctica. We have no idea if I will make it there because of weather, safety, cost, all sorts of aspects. But the plan is to do Antarctica.
Amazing.
And more importantly, I want to make sure I'm actually running on land. So there's a few marathons out there that exist and they are not run on land. So I have to make sure I definitely get to land if I'm going to do it. Just to tick off that 7th continent. It's not one of the 196 countries, so I don't need to do it, but it's a want. So fingers crossed. It costs a fortune to get there, and we need to make sure we can squeeze it in the trip somewhere.
Sounds fantastic. Well, best of luck on the rest of your journeys, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to do the interview.
Yes, buddy.
So where can people find your website, donate to the cause, etc.? Find you on social media?
The easiest way to donate is to search on Google Nick Butter and Just Giving. So Nick Butter Just Giving, Butter, Nick Butter Just Giving. Or my website, nickbutter.com. Or the expedition website, which is runningtheworld196.com. And you can see everything on there. All the links are on there, easy to find. In terms of following me day to day, I have a blog, we've got the Facebook going, we've got the podcast, but number one is my Instagram. I do a little write-up of every day with some videos or photos, and it's just a good way of keeping in touch, and you'll see all of I do a story for every day I run. So and so my Instagram is Nick Butter Run.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Thanks again.
Thanks, Danny.
Cheers.